Good morning, everybody. Today on this beautiful snowy morning, I'm going to go over the S650 Dremel grills and just give you some pros and cons here so you can see whether or not it's right for you. As you can see, the grills are fully cut open. You can see the filter element if this would focus. Get this to focus. Oh, the camera doesn't want to focus, but basically these are blanked out from factory, and then you Dremel them out. It becomes open, almost like the Dark Horse or the RTR. You just still get the honeycomb effect, which I kind of like. I will say, once you do this, your filter gets a lot more dirty. This is 20,000 kilometers, and you can see the filter pleats. I loosened this already, so I can spin it around. But the filter pleats are absolutely disgusting. Like right there. Look at that. This is just 20,000 kilometers. Now, in rain, heavy rain and snow, this will actually get damp in the rain, and with the snow, you can almost, if you take it off, you will see the pleats filled with snow. Now, Ford did do a test on the S650 GT350, which we know has a single intake that's completely opened on the one side, and the car ran for 8 hours in a wind tunnel in a severe snowstorm before it choked out. I'll clip that in.
It's like -22 Fahrenheit. It's a rolling road, and it's just blowing a driving snowstorm at the car. I'm like, what the hell? Yeah, we have to test it till it stalls. I'm like, why would it stall? He opens up the hood and shows me the air filter, and all the pleats are just packed with snow. And it finally just starved itself. But it had been there for like 8 hours.
So unfortunately, if you do this, you will be replacing the filters a lot more often, or you will have to buy washable filters so that you can wash them more than often. But because of the dampness and the amount of water that gets in there, snow, debris when you're driving through severe weather, I would definitely recommend a pre-filter. That way, if it's winter conditions, you can just take the pre-filter off, shake it off, put it back on, and it doesn't clog the pleats. And also tries to keep some of that wetness off the filters so you don't hydrolock your motor. That being said, because it's not open like the RTR grills or the Dark Horse, you can 3D print a blanking plate for severe weather that you can keep in the trunk. Kind of just blank it off like this, keep 2 or 3 of those honeycombs open, and then it'll still get the adequate airflow. It just won't be the full amount of the ram air effect. Or if you're cheap, don't have a 3D printer, just like me, probably find some plastic from, I don't know, vegetable containers or something.
Just storm in. So if he storms in, I storm out. Thanks for your time. I cannot go on with this debate
Before you
anymore.
go, do you recognize these things?
Pepe, I'm sorry. Can you give me a minute?
Pepe, do you recognize some of these things here? These are some of the things they use. I want
Cut
to
it out a clear piece of plastic, about like this. Have tiny zip ties, put them on there. Keep a little bit of zip ties in your trunk, those clear plastics, and when you're in some really bad weather, like today if I was to go driving, you could just blank it out. One thing to note, the RTR grills actually come in the manual with a warning saying in severe weather you may hydrolock the motor, and if you're going through deep water, to drive really slow so that you don't hydrolock the motor. So if you're in really bad weather, you can probably hydrolock the motor if you do this. So if you don't want to run that risk, I will definitely keep those grills the way they were from factory, because when you drive through bad weather, like a bad snowstorm, you can actually see this part will all ice up, except for the grills that come open from factory, and I've never had snow or wet filters with the factory blocked out grills. Generally, the intake air temperatures are within a couple degrees of the ambient air temperature. As you can see here, 0 degrees outside, intake air temperature 1 degree. Sometimes you'll see a 2 degrees, 3 degrees more than normal. However, butt dyno, I kind of feel like it's faster, but I can't tell because at the same time of doing this, I removed the carbon traps from inside the car. I don't know, people claim some crazy things with them. I haven't dynoed the car, but I'm assuming with the ram air effect, this will be a little quicker. I've played around with a Dark Horse on the highway. We were pretty close. Dark Horse obviously faster. So yeah, those are just a couple things to note if you decide to Dremel them out. For me, I feel like it's worth it. I don't mind the added maintenance to buy new filters. Eventually, I'm probably gonna go with a washable filter with a pre-filter just to help keep some of that dirt and debris out of the filter element and out of the motor. Yeah, so those are just some of the things that I've noticed having 20,000 kilometers on the vehicle with the Dremel filters and the carbon traps removed. I feel like it is a little quicker. I mean, that's very subjective. It could be just a placebo effect, but I do definitely notice those intake air temperatures drop. However, you get the added maintenance and worry of potentially hydrolocking your motor and having really dirty filters and having to replace it a lot. I don't mind because I do a lot of the maintenance myself, but if you're somebody that doesn't know how to do maintenance or not comfortable doing it and worry a lot, I wouldn't do the dremeling of the grills.